Sometimes, the hardest part about learning English is not grammar. It's not vocabulary. It's not pronunciation. Sometimes, the hardest part is feeling alone. You open another English video. You listen carefully. You understand many words in your mind, but when it's time to speak, your mouth becomes quiet. Maybe you live in a country where nobody speaks English around you. Maybe your friends are busy. Maybe you feel shy making mistakes. Or maybe, after a long day of work, school, cooking, cleaning, and life, you simply feel tired and don't know how to practice anymore. And slowly, you start telling yourself something dangerous. I can understand English, but maybe I will never speak it confidently. But listen to me carefully. That is not true, because you do not need perfect conditions to improve your English. You do not need expensive classes every day. You do not need foreign friends beside you 24 hours a day. And you do not need to wait until your English becomes perfect before you start speaking. What you really need is a small daily moment, a quiet moment, a realistic moment, a moment where English becomes part of your real life, not just something inside a textbook. Maybe tomorrow morning while your tea is getting warm. Maybe while you are folding clothes in your room. Maybe while you are standing quietly in front of your bathroom mirror before work. Little by little, those small moments can completely change your confidence in English.
And that is what today's episode is all about. Not studying harder. Not memorizing 100 difficult words. Not sounding perfect overnight. Today, I want to show you how to practice English alone in a calm, simple, natural way. A way that fits into real life. A way that feels possible even on busy days. And most importantly, a way that helps you finally open your mouth and speak without fear. So wherever you are right now, maybe lying on your bed, maybe walking home, maybe drinking coffee quietly before your day begins, I want you to relax your shoulders, take a slow breath, and stay with me for the next few minutes. Because today, we are going to practice English together. Hello and welcome to English Practice Unlocked, the podcast where we speak daily and speak confidently. I'm Emma, and if you are new here, I'm genuinely happy you found this little corner of the internet. Here, you do not need to rush, you do not need to feel embarrassed, and you do not need to be perfect to start. Before we begin, if these episodes help you feel more confident in English, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share this episode with another English learner somewhere in the world. You never know who might need this encouragement today. And every time you support the channel, you help us create more slow, comforting, real-life English practice for learners just like you. All right, get comfortable, and let's talk about why practicing English alone might actually become your secret strength.
Let me tell you something that surprises many English learners. Some of the most confident English speakers in the world spent a lot of time practicing alone. Yes, alone. Not in a big classroom, not surrounded by native speakers every day, and not speaking perfect English from the beginning. Because confidence in English usually starts quietly. Long before somebody speaks fluently in public, they first practice privately. Inside bedrooms, inside kitchens, inside cars, walking alone with earphones on, repeating little sentences again and again. But many learners believe something that hurts their progress. They believe, if I don't have someone to practice with, then I cannot improve. And because of that belief, they stop speaking completely. They only watch videos, only read subtitles, only listen silently in their heads. Now, listening is important. Very important. But English is not only a language you understand, It is also a language you must physically use. Your mouth needs practice. Your ears need practice. Your brain needs repetition. And your confidence needs small daily wins. Think about learning to drive. Imagine somebody who watches driving videos every single day for 2 years, but never touches a steering wheel. Would they understand driving? Probably yes. Would they feel confident driving on a real road? Probably not. English works the same way. You cannot only watch English. You must slowly begin living English. Even in tiny moments. Even imperfectly. Even alone.
And honestly, practicing alone has some beautiful advantages. When you practice alone, there is no pressure. Nobody is judging your pronunciation. Nobody is interrupting you. Nobody is laughing at your mistakes. You are free to pause, free to repeat, free to try again slowly. That freedom is powerful because fear disappears when your brain feels safe. And when fear disappears, your English begins to open naturally. I want you to imagine something for a moment. It is late at night. Your room is quiet. Your phone is beside you. Maybe there is soft rain outside. And instead of scrolling endlessly on social media, you decide to spend just a few minutes speaking English softly to yourself. No pressure, no audience, just practice. At first, maybe your sentences feel slow. Maybe you forget words. Maybe you stop in the middle of a sentence and laugh a little at yourself. That is normal. Please hear me carefully when I say this. That is completely normal. Because fluency does not arrive like magic one morning. It grows quietly, sentence by sentence, day by day, tiny moment after tiny moment. And one day, something amazing happens. You suddenly notice you are speaking without translating every word in your head. You answer a question faster. You understand a video more easily. You express an idea more naturally. And you realize, wait, my English is actually improving. That is why daily practice matters so much. Not because every practice session feels dramatic. Most days will feel small, quiet, ordinary. But those ordinary little moments slowly build a new version of you, a more confident English speaker. And here's another important truth. You don't need 3 perfect hours every day. Many learners wait for the perfect time to study English. A free weekend, a new month, more motivation, less stress. But real progress usually happens differently. Real progress happens on ordinary Tuesdays, on sleepy mornings, on busy evenings, on days when you almost skipped practice, but still gave English 10 or 15 quiet minutes anyway.
That consistency changes your brain. Because language learning is not only memory, it is familiarity. The more often your brain sees and hears English, the less foreign it feels. And eventually, English stops feeling like a school subject. It starts feeling like part of your life. So if you are listening right now and thinking, "But Emma, my English is still very weak," I want you to remember something. Every fluent speaker you admire once spoke broken English too. Every confident speaker once felt nervous. Every strong speaker once paused searching for simple words. Nobody begins fluent. People become fluent through repetition, patience, and courage, especially the courage to keep speaking before they feel ready. And honestly, your room can become one of the most powerful English classrooms you will ever have. Not because it is perfect, but because it belongs to you. It is a safe place to practice, a safe place to grow, a safe place to make mistakes and continue anyway. And in the next part of this episode, I want to show you something really special: how to turn your normal everyday life into natural English practice without making your day stressful or overwhelming. Because your daily routine already contains dozens of opportunities to improve your English. Most learners simply do not notice them yet.
I think one of the biggest mistakes English learners make is believing practice only happens at a desk. You know the image, right? A big textbook, a notebook full of grammar rules, a serious face, maybe even stress and frustration. But real language learning is often much softer than that, much more natural, much more connected to everyday life. Because English is not only something you study, it is something you slowly begin living with. And once you understand that, everything changes. So in this part of the episode, I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine tomorrow morning. Your alarm rings softly. You are still a little sleepy. The room is quiet. Maybe the sunlight is just beginning to enter through your curtains. Now, normally, many people reach for their phones immediately. Social media, messages, scrolling without thinking. But tomorrow morning, you do something different. You give yourself 10 or 15 peaceful minutes of English instead. You walk into the kitchen. The kettle is boiling. Maybe you are making coffee or tea. And quietly, softly, you begin speaking English to yourself.
Good morning. I feel tired today. The weather looks cold. I need to wake up properly. Simple sentences. Nothing complicated. But something important is happening. Your brain is waking up in English. And honestly, this is how English becomes natural. Not through pressure, not through panic, but through small, repeated moments connected to real life. Maybe later that morning, you are getting dressed for work or school. Instead of staying silent, describe what you are doing. I'm looking for my shoes. This shirt is comfortable. I think I'm running late. At first, maybe it feels unusual speaking to yourself. I completely understand that feeling. But after some time, it starts feeling surprisingly normal and even comforting, because you are no longer waiting for the perfect opportunity to practice English. You are creating opportunities yourself. Now, let's continue the day together. Maybe you are walking outside now. Maybe you are on the bus. Maybe you are driving quietly to work. This is another beautiful moment for English practice. Instead of listening passively to random noise, choose one short piece of English audio. A podcast episode, a short conversation, a calming English video. And this time, do not worry about understanding every single word. That is another mistake learners make. They panic when they miss one sentence. Then they stop listening completely. But native speakers do not understand every word perfectly all the time either. Good listening is not perfection. It is comfort with uncertainty. Listening calmly, even when you miss a few things. So while you listen, relax. Catch the general meaning, notice expressions, notice pronunciation, notice rhythm. The music of English matters too. And here is something very powerful. After listening to one short sentence, pause the audio and repeat it softly. Not loudly, not aggressively, just naturally, like you are borrowing the rhythm of the speaker for a moment. For example, maybe the speaker says, "I didn't sleep very well last night." Pause the audio. Now quietly say it with them. "I didn't sleep very well last night." This is called shadowing, and it is one of the most powerful things you can do for your English pronunciation and fluency, because your brain begins copying natural English patterns automatically. Now imagine lunchtime. You are eating alone for a few minutes. Instead of scrolling endlessly again, open a short English article. Not something stressful, not difficult academic English, something light, something enjoyable. Maybe a simple story, maybe easy news, maybe subtitles from a video you watched earlier. Read slowly, no rushing. And while you read, notice useful little phrases, things real people actually say. For example, "I'm running late. I can't stop thinking about it." These small natural expressions are gold,
Because they help you sound human and relaxed in English, not robotic,
Not textbook perfect, real. And honestly, this is why I love daily life English practice so much. It teaches you the language people actually use every day, the English of normal life, the English of conversations, the English of feelings, the English of routines and thoughts and tiny moments. Now, let's imagine the evening. You finally come home after a long day. Maybe your body feels tired. Maybe your mind feels busy. And maybe your first thought is, I don't have energy to study English today. That is exactly why your practice must feel gentle, not heavy, not exhausting. Gentle practice survives busy days. Extreme study plans usually do not. So tonight, instead of forcing yourself through 2 stressful hours of grammar exercises, stand in front of your mirror for just 2 minutes. Look at yourself kindly and say a few simple things in English. Today was busy. I'm proud that I practiced English. I'm still learning. I'm getting better little by little. Do you see what is happening here? English is slowly becoming part of your real identity. Not only something you study occasionally, but something you live with daily. And the beautiful thing is this: none of these moments require perfect conditions. No expensive classroom, no native speaker beside you all day, no perfect grammar. Just small, intentional moments, repeated consistently. Because language learning is not built in one dramatic day. It is built quietly, in ordinary moments people usually overlook. The walk to work, the kitchen, the evening silence before sleep. Those moments may look small now, but over time, they become confidence. They become fluency. They become a new version of you. And in the next part of this episode, we are going to go even deeper, because I want to show you exactly how to speak English confidently, even when nobody else is around. And honestly, this next part might completely change the way you think about speaking practice forever.
And after some time, something very interesting begins to happen. Those tiny moments of English during your day stop feeling like practice. They begin feeling natural, comfortable, almost like a quiet conversation happening inside your life. But there is one thing many learners still struggle with: speaking, actually opening their mouth and using English out loud. Because even learners who listen every day and understand many words often freeze the moment they try to speak. And honestly, I understand why. Speaking feels vulnerable. When you speak, people can hear your mistakes, your pauses, your pronunciation, and that can feel scary sometimes. But here is something I really want you to remember tonight. You do not become confident first and then start speaking English. You become confident because you start speaking English, even before you feel ready. And this is why practicing alone is secretly so powerful. Because private practice removes performance pressure. You are no longer trying to impress anyone. You are simply training your brain to feel comfortable expressing thoughts in English. At first, your sentences may come slowly. You may stop often. You may search for words. Sometimes your grammar may break completely in the middle of a sentence. And honestly, that is okay. That is part of becoming fluent. I think many English learners imagine fluent speakers as people who never struggle. But even fluent speakers pause sometimes. Even native speakers forget words sometimes. The difference is not perfection. The difference is comfort. Comfort continuing the conversation even when things are imperfect. So let me show you one of the simplest and most powerful things you can begin doing alone: narrating your life in English. Very softly, very casually. For example, maybe you walk into your kitchen at night. You open the fridge and quietly say, "There's nothing to eat. I should go shopping tomorrow. I'm too tired to cook tonight."
Tiny sentences. But these tiny sentences matter more than you think, because your brain is practicing real communication connected to real situations,
not random textbook examples disconnected from life. And here is something beautiful. When sentences connect to emotions or real moments, your brain remembers them more easily. That is why you probably remember emotional conversations from your life more than grammar rules from school. Emotion strengthens memory. Real life strengthens memory. Now imagine another moment. You are standing in front of your bathroom mirror, getting ready in the morning. Your hair's still messy, still waking up properly. And instead of staying silent, you decide to speak English for just 2 minutes. Today feels busy. I hope work goes smoothly. I need more sleep. I'm going to try my best today. Do you notice something? This is not student English. This is your English, your thoughts, your emotions, your real life. That makes the language stronger inside your memory. And honestly, one of the most powerful moments in language learning happens when English stops feeling borrowed. When it begins feeling personal, when your thoughts naturally begin appearing in English sometimes without forcing them. That is a huge turning point. Now, there is another method I really love, especially for learners who feel nervous speaking freely, and that is shadowing, but not aggressive shadowing, not stressful repetition, soft shadowing, comfortable shadowing. Here is how I want you to try it. Choose one calm English speaker you enjoy listening to, maybe a podcast, maybe a YouTube video, maybe even this episode right now. Listen to one short sentence, pause it, then gently repeat the sentence with the same rhythm and emotion.
For example, today was a long day. Now softly say it too. Today was a long day. Do not rush. Do not force an accent. Do not panic about sounding perfect. Just borrow the rhythm for a moment. Borrow the calmness. Borrow the flow. And slowly, your mouth becomes more familiar with English sounds. Your pronunciation becomes smoother naturally. Your speaking speed improves naturally. Not because you forced fluency, but because you repeated real English consistently. I also want to tell you something very important about mistakes. Please stop treating mistakes like proof you are failing. Mistakes are proof you are participating. Proof you are trying. Proof your brain is actively building a new language. Imagine a child learning to walk. Nobody sees the child fall down and says, "Well, clearly walking is not for you." No. Falling is expected. Falling is part of learning. And language learning works exactly the same way. So if you forget words sometimes, keep speaking. If your sentence sounds strange, keep speaking. If your pronunciation feels awkward, keep speaking. Because every imperfect sentence is building future fluency. And one day, you suddenly realize something amazing. You answer faster. You hesitate less. You stop translating every tiny sentence in your head. And speaking English begins feeling less like performance and more like communication. That transformation usually happens quietly, not in one dramatic moment, but through hundreds of tiny private moments nobody else sees. The mirror conversations, the whispered sentences, the repeated phrases while washing dishes, the little voice notes recorded late at night. And honestly, there is something deeply powerful about realizing I can practice English anywhere. Because suddenly, the world becomes full of opportunities instead of limitations. Your room becomes practice. Your walk becomes practice. Your thoughts become practice. Your daily life becomes practice. And once English reaches that point in your life, something beautiful begins happening. You stop chasing perfection so desperately, and you start building real fluency naturally.
one calm conversation with yourself at a time.
I think one of the quietest struggles English learners carry is embarrassment. Not grammar, not vocabulary, embarrassment. The fear of sounding silly, the fear of making mistakes, the fear that somebody might judge your accent or laugh at the way you speak. And because of that fear, many people stay silent much longer than they need to. Maybe this has happened to you before. You create a sentence perfectly in your mind. Everything sounds clear inside your head. But the moment you try to say it out loud, panic arrives. Suddenly you forget simple words, your heart beats faster, your pronunciation feels strange. And then afterwards, you replay the moment again and again in your head. I want you to know something very important tonight. That feeling is incredibly normal. You are not weak because you feel nervous speaking English. You are human. Speaking another language can feel deeply personal because your voice is personal. Your accent is personal. The way you express yourself is connected to your identity. So of course vulnerability appears when you speak. But here is the beautiful thing many learners eventually discover. Confidence is not the absence of mistakes. Confidence is the willingness to continue speaking even with mistakes. That changes everything. Because if you wait to become perfect before speaking, you may wait forever. There will always be another word to learn, another grammar rule to improve, another pronunciation sound to practice. Fluent speakers are not people who know every word perfectly. They are people who became comfortable communicating imperfectly. That is a huge difference. And honestly, comparison makes this fear even worse sometimes, especially online. You watch somebody speaking beautiful English on YouTube, or maybe you hear someone with a very smooth American or British accent, and suddenly your own English feels not good enough. But please remember something. You are listening to people at their strongest moments. You are not seeing their years of mistakes, their awkward early conversations, their nervousness, their bad pronunciation days. Every strong English speaker once struggled too. Every fluent person once paused, searching for words. Every confident speaker once felt embarrassed opening their mouth. And honestly, some learners improve faster, not because they are more talented, but because they became less afraid of sounding imperfect. That is the truth many people do not talk about enough. Fear creates silence, and silence slows growth. But courage creates repetition, and repetition creates fluency. So I want you to try something mentally from today. Instead of asking yourself, "What if I make mistakes?" Ask yourself, "What if this mistake helps me improve?" That small mindset shift is powerful because mistakes are not enemies in language learning. They are directions. They show you what your brain is still learning. I remember many learners who spoke very quietly at first, almost whispering, apologizing before every sentence, saying things like, "Sorry, my English is bad." And after months of calm daily practice, something changed. Not overnight, slowly, but beautifully. Their voices became stronger. Their pauses became shorter. Their eyes looked more relaxed during conversations. And one day, they stopped apologizing before speaking. That moment is powerful because language learning is not only about vocabulary growth, it is also emotional growth. You are training your confidence too, training your courage, training your ability to stay calm even when you are uncertain. And honestly, practicing English alone can help heal some of this fear first, because private practice gives your confidence space to grow quietly, without pressure, without interruption, without embarrassment.
Your room becomes a safe rehearsal space for real-life conversations. The mirror conversations, the whispered practice,
The voice notes nobody hears except you. All of it matters, more than you realize right now. And please, stop calling your English bad. Your English is growing. There is a difference. A plant does not become a tree in 1 week, but every day, even when growth is invisible, something is happening underneath the surface. Roots are growing quietly. Strength is developing quietly. And your English works the same way. Some days you will feel motivated. Some days you will feel frustrated. Some days you will feel like your English is improving beautifully. And other days you may feel completely stuck. That emotional wave is normal too. Progress in language learning is rarely a straight line. Sometimes growth feels invisible until suddenly, one day, you realize conversations feel easier than before. You understand movies more naturally. You respond faster. You think less and communicate more. That is why patience matters so much. Not passive waiting, patient consistency. The kind where you continue practicing even before you see dramatic results. And honestly, I think this is one of the bravest things a person can do. Continuing to speak a language imperfectly while still believing improvement is possible. That takes courage, real courage. So if your English feels messy right now, keep going. If you still translate in your head sometimes, keep going. If your confidence disappears during conversations, keep going. Because fluency is not built by people who never struggle. It is built by people who continue anyway. Quietly, patiently, one sentence at a time. And once you stop fighting yourself emotionally, English practice becomes lighter, calmer, more enjoyable, more sustainable. And that is when real long-term progress usually begins. Now, let's bring everything together in a simple daily rhythm you can actually follow in real life without feeling overwhelmed. Because consistency becomes much easier when your English routine feels calm, realistic, and deeply connected to your everyday life.
I think one reason many English learners become overwhelmed is because they try to change everything at once. A new grammar book, a new app, 3 hours of study, 20 new vocabulary words every day. And after a few days, exhaustion arrives. Motivation disappears, and the routine quietly falls apart. That is why I want your English practice to feel different from now on. Smaller, softer, more realistic. Something you can actually continue even on busy days. Because honestly, the most powerful English routine is not the most intense one. It is the one you can repeat consistently for months. That is the real secret. So let's create a calm daily rhythm together. Not a stressful schedule, a rhythm. Something gentle that naturally fits into your life. Imagine tomorrow morning again. Before social media, before the noise of the day becomes too loud, give yourself just 5 quiet minutes of listening. Not random listening in the background while your attention is somewhere else. Focused listening. Present listening. Choose something short and comforting. Maybe a slow English podcast. Maybe a calm conversation. Maybe a short story. Maybe even this episode again. And while you listen, do not pressure yourself to understand every single word perfectly. Instead, relax into the language. Listen for meaning. Listen for emotion. Listen for rhythm. Then after those few minutes, begin speaking softly for another 5 minutes. Nothing dramatic, nothing complicated. Just simple, real English connected to your life. Describe your morning. Describe your room. Describe your plans for the day. Or repeat a few sentences you heard earlier.
Maybe you quietly say, I didn't sleep enough last night. I need to buy groceries later. The weather feels beautiful today. Little by little, your brain stops treating English like a special performance language and starts treating it like communication. That shift is powerful. Then later in the day, maybe during lunch, maybe before bed, give yourself another few quiet minutes of reading or writing. Again, keep it simple. Simple is powerful.
Write 3 small sentences about your day, not for perfection, for expression, for familiarity, for confidence. Or maybe read a short piece of English slowly and comfortably, a short article, easy news, a story, even subtitles from something you already watched. And here's something I really want you to remember. Repetition is not boring in language learning. Repetition is transformation. Many learners believe they always need brand new material every day, but your brain actually learns deeply through revisiting familiar language again and again. Hearing phrases multiple times, repeating expressions multiple times, using the same vocabulary naturally in different moments. That repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity creates fluency. I also want you to stop measuring progress only through big moments. Noticing every small improvement matters too. Maybe today, you understood one extra sentence in a video. Maybe today, you spoke for 2 minutes longer than usual. Maybe today, you remembered a word faster. Maybe today, your English felt slightly less scary. Those tiny wins matter deeply, because fluency is not one giant breakthrough. It is thousands of tiny breakthroughs quietly happening over time.
And honestly, some of the most powerful English practice sessions will look very ordinary from the outside. A person washing dishes while softly speaking English. A learner repeating one sentence during a walk. Someone whispering vocabulary words before sleep. A quiet voice practicing in front of a bathroom mirror. Ordinary moments. Extraordinary long-term results. And please, do not wait for motivation every day. Motivation changes constantly. Some mornings you will feel inspired. Other mornings you will feel tired and unmotivated. That is normal. This is why routines matter more than feelings sometimes. Because routines continue carrying you forward, even on low-energy days. Think about brushing your teeth. You probably do not wake up every morning feeling passionately motivated to brush your teeth. You simply do it because it became part of your life. That is exactly what we want English practice to become too. Natural, automatic, normal. And honestly, once English becomes part of your everyday rhythm, improvement begins happening much faster than you expect. Not because you suddenly became perfect, but because your relationship with the language changed completely. English stops feeling like this huge mountain you are trying to climb and starts feeling like a companion walking quietly beside your daily life. So tomorrow, do not aim for perfection. Do not aim for hours of stressful study. Do not aim to sound like a native speaker overnight. Instead, aim for consistency. Aim for calm repetition. Aim for one more conversation with yourself in English, one more listening session, one more tiny moment of courage. Because those small moments may seem invisible right now, but over weeks and months, they quietly become fluency. They quietly become confidence. And one day, you suddenly realize English is no longer something you are afraid of. It has simply become part of you.
And honestly, that is the feeling I want you to leave this episode with tonight. Not pressure, not guilt, not the feeling that you must study perfectly every single day. I want you to leave feeling calmer about your English journey, more hopeful, more encouraged, because the truth is, you are probably doing better than you think. Sometimes progress in English feels invisible while it is happening, a little like watching the sky become brighter before sunrise. At first, nothing seems different. Then slowly, quietly, the light begins to change everything. That is how fluency often grows too. Quietly, gradually, in ordinary little moments repeated again and again. The 5 minutes you almost skipped. The sentence you repeated softly while making tea. The tiny mirror conversation before work. The English podcast you listen to instead of scrolling on your phone late at night. All of it matters, more than you realize. And if nobody has told you this recently, I'm proud of you for continuing. Learning another language while balancing real life is not easy. Work, family, stress, responsibilities, tiredness. And yet, here you are, still trying, still listening, still believing your English can improve. That matters deeply.
So tonight, or tomorrow morning, wherever this episode finds you, I hope you give yourself those few quiet minutes of English. Not because you are forcing yourself, but because you are building something beautiful slowly. A new skill, a new confidence, a new voice. And remember, you do not need to sound perfect to deserve speaking English. You do not need permission to practice. You do not need to wait until you feel ready. You grow by using the language now, exactly as you are. Before we go, if this episode helped you feel a little more confident and relaxed about practicing English alone, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share it with another English learner who may need this encouragement too. And if you have been quietly listening to these episodes for a while, thank you for being here. You are part of this little English Practice Unlocked community now. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me honestly, where do you usually practice English alone? Your bedroom? The kitchen? On your way to work? Maybe in front of the bathroom mirror like we talked about today? I read your comments, and I truly love hearing about your journey. All right, my friend, take care of yourself. Keep practicing gently, keep speaking bravely, and keep remembering that fluency is not built in one perfect day. It is built little by little, moment by moment, sentence by sentence. Speak daily, speak confidently, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.